Now, consciousness is the awareness of your surroundings. Thoughts, emotions, and sleep they play a role in consciousness. I want to talk about how we're actually aware of the external world, how we perceive it. Our brains makes consciousness. Our brains attached to the spinal cord, our central nervous system that expands off into our peripheral nervous system. These nerves collect data from the external world through 5 different senses: taste, touch, smell, sight, and hearing. They transfer the data into chemicals and electrical impulses, which then our brain sorts and filters and projects a consciousness based on the information taken in. The problem is the tools, our 5 senses, the brain is subjected and therefore gives us a subjected view of reality, not its true self. We would need a 6th sense, a 7th, 8th sense, infinite amount of senses maybe, in order to have a true perspective of the physical world outside of us and the physical world inside of us, what we're actually made up of. Because we don't have these senses, our brain projects a stream of consciousness that might be based off reality, but it's not truly reality. Like filming a scene, the actors are real, the set's real. When I watch it on TV later, that's not real. It's based off that real event, but it's not real. Our consciousness might be based off reality, but it's a tainted view, like a perception of it, but not its true self. And everyone's perception is slightly different. Society thrives on conformity, but perspective is unique. And we realize that our perspective that we experience isn't exact. We already discussed it when we talked about the microscope, the Large Hadron Collider, and zooming in to the quantum world. Gives us a better perspective of how reality really works and how our perspective is synthetic and fake. Now let's talk about different species and animals, like a frog, birds, dogs, humans. We all have the same tools, the same senses. We all have nose and ears and eyes. We all have touch, smell, taste, hearing. We use these tools to collect data of the external world in a similar way. And this causes us to have a similar understanding of the external world. When my dog Rocket wants a toy, I can tell we have a similar understanding. I don't understand Rocket's understanding or Rocket's feelings quite the same way my other dog Stellar does. For instance, I see a red ball that Rocket wants. Rocket and Stellar don't see the color red. Our perception and understanding of the ball is different. Dogs smell better than humans. There's a faint smell of meat on the dog. I can't smell it. They can. Our understanding and perception, again, of the ball is different. Some reptiles see in infrared. The ball's been in the backyard all day in the sun. The dog and I won't realize until we touch it that the ball's hot, but a reptile can see heat from a distance. We have the same senses, same type of tools. They work slightly different. This causes a slight difference in perception of reality. Each species share their own consciousness grid. Humans are antennas tuned to understand a certain frequency, a certain energy of human consciousness. Dogs are antennas tuned to understand a certain frequency, a certain energy of dog consciousness. A rabbit is tuned to a certain frequency to understand a certain rabbit consciousness. Every species, every plant every animal, every fungus is a specific type of antenna tuned to a specific type of consciousness, a specific type of energy, a specific type of frequency that correlates and has a relationship with their own species. But it gets deeper because you and I tap into human consciousness, human energy frequency, but yet I perceive the world similar to you and to a dog in some ways, but yet my perception of reality is different, slightly, but different from yours. And it's even more different from that of a dog's and other animals. So everyone, every living thing's consciousness is fine-tuned to a certain specific frequency to them. So essentially saying that every species is fine-tuned to a certain energy, frequency, consciousness. And then every individual within that species is even more fine-tuned to a certain energy, frequency, consciousness. Almost like an instrument, all tuned to a bunch of strings, all tuned slightly different.